Aegon called his dream the Song of Ice and Fire. This secret, it's been passed from king to heir since Aegon's time. Now you must promise to carry it.
In Season 1, when they inserted Aegon's prophecy of the Long Night and threat from the White Walkers into the story, many people were skeptical. There were some that were even ambivalent that such a glaring reminder of the disastrous conclusion to Game of Thrones was featured in the premiere and appeared to be a prominent plot point in the new series. I took a wait and see approach, though. At the time, I thought that perhaps there was some sort of a coordination going on that would create a plot that would be used in future series in Martin's universe, and it made me more intrigued about the possibilities for the Aegon's Conquest prequel. But after seeing the handling of the prophecy in Season 2, I'm now with those who opposed its addition to the story, and I'm going to explain here why that is, and also how I think Aegon's prophecy could have been most effectively used without damaging the Dance of the Dragon story. So let's start with the biggest surface issue. The threat from beyond the wall is the greatest one the realm faces, but despite its existential nature, it's a carefully guarded secret that only passes between the king and his heir. So if Viserys had died before he revealed the prophecy to Rhaenyra, then no one alive would know of it. In Season 2, Rhaenyra finally told Jace just as Rhaenys was flying off to fight in the Battle of Rook's Rest. So if Rhaenyra had died during this very difficult childbirth scene that resulted in the stillborn Visenya, knowledge of the most critical threat to the realm would be lost. While I can understand why the Targaryens wouldn't share this knowledge with someone outside of their house, it should be something that each member knows. The fact that Rhaenys and Daemon have no idea what Viserys knows is incredibly stupid. There also would have been no better tool for Viserys to use when his family was torn apart than to explain the prophecy to all his children. This is a huge plot hole, considering that Viserys was an intelligent person and he had full faith in what Aegon saw, so he definitely would have made his entire family aware of it. They unrealistically, though, made the prophecy a well-kept secret so that they could explain away other things, like Alicent mistaking Viserys' deathbed ramblings about Aegon the Conqueror into him wanting her son Aegon on the throne. Their goal here was to take away Alicent's responsibility for usurping the throne from Rhaenyra. This is a hard departure from Fire and Blood, where Alicent was 100% behind the ascension of the Greens and she didn't need an excuse to crown her son. But by making her an innocent victim of a misunderstanding, they can circle back around and have her grovel to Rhaenyra. Alicent was one of the most painful character assassinations I've seen in a television series. She offers King's Landing to Rhaenyra and delivers a death sentence to most of her family and loved ones. And on top of that, she had some secret love for Rhaenyra that we never saw prior to the final episode and now wants to run away with her. But none of that happens if Alicent is the character she was in the book, so they had to cook up a misinterpretation of Viserys' last words. Their heavy-handed approach to Aegon's prophecy became cringeworthy when they suddenly thrust in a vision for Daemon in the season finale that immediately made him believe in all the things he scoffed at for his entire life. As I said in a previous video I did on Daemon, if this was their endpoint, then instead of all these flashback stories and this insane sex scene with his mother, they should have led up to it with actual dreams and visions of the Long Night that culminated in that final vision. Even Helaena becomes part of this whole mess. Without a weirwood tree, she's still capable of communicating with Daemon, who happens to be the person responsible for her now forgotten son's death. She also has incredible all-knowing powers that surpass anyone we've seen on screen in the Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon universe. None of this is hinted at before, and it's just dropped on us in the finale in a bizarre and eye-rolling way that cheapens the prophecy. And this whole scene feels like a college play production with Helena's hologram-like image in front of Daemon. It all comes across as a Deus Ex Machina event where Daemon unrealistically sees the light, and in doing so, it artificially gives the Blacks a sense of purpose that's greater than the Greens. It's no longer a fight for the throne, since one side is fighting to save Westeros from the Long Night. But yet, they can't tell the realm about it to try and stop the Civil War. Rhaenyra spent much of the season unrealistically seeking peace after war began, but she never once thought of using the knowledge of the big existential crisis to stop it. And sure, she might have told everyone about the long night and they'd just laugh at her, but if you're stupid enough to sneak into King's Landing dressed as a Septa, then you have nothing to lose. It just makes no sense that this critical information isn't shared with anyone. Overall, I think there are two paths they could have taken with the prophecy. Both of them, though, would require all of the Targaryens knowing about it. Make it something that's passed along to every child as they come of age. In the first scenario, you have this generation, both sides, not really believing in it anymore. It's become the Targaryen version of Old Nan's tales, and only Viserys is a true believer. He desperately tries to keep his family together by stressing the prophecy, but everyone thinks he's believing in fables, particularly as he begins to deteriorate. It would have been interesting, too, if they had expanded Jace's story, as I was really hoping for, and had him spend a couple of episodes in Winterfell. Then, after seeing the Wall, talking to Cregan and the Northerners, he comes back to Dragonstone as a true believer like Viserys, but no one else is on board. The second version I like much less than the first, but it would have the Blacks believing in the prophecy, but not the Greens. It would also add more believability to Daemon accepting the vision at Harrenhal if those tales were something he grew up with, and then what he sees in the Weirwood vision confirms all of that. But I really don't like the whole struggle coming down to believers in the prophecy versus those that don't, which is sort of what the current version of the story has devolved to. But in the show's case, it's done in a more poorly written and unbelievable manner. With the writing on the show having declined in season 2, it makes it even more difficult for them now, having inserted the long night into the Dance of the Dragons. They've linked themselves directly to a Game of Thrones series that failed to execute an appropriate ending to its story. It's puzzling and funny to see a series that is greatly inferior to the early seasons of Game of Thrones not try to replicate the intricate character building we saw there through season 4, and instead they decided to inject one of the worst and most disappointing elements from the failed final season. If you enjoyed this one, make sure to hit the like button. If you're interested in more on House of the Dragon and A Song of Ice and Fire, listen to Caraxes and subscribe. I want to thank everyone for watching, and I'll see you soon.